and welcome again to another episode of Dave Trippin. I thought I might, in this dying light, talk with you again. I was thinking of how cool that phrase dying light is, and I was like, why hasn't anyone done anything with that recently? And then I realized it's like a AAA game title right now that is very popular. So somebody has. I was mistaken. Anyways, to the topic at hand. As I wander through the back streets of my little country town, I got a great email on a topic that I've never touched on before. And whether I discuss it, just call it as a cautionary tale. This will be in 3 parts. One part cautionary, one part confessional, and one part, I can't remember the third part, so it'll be 2 parts. It'll come to me later anyways. So basically it was about student privacy. That's what the title of this whole thing was. And so that's what I'm going to talk about. Basically, student privacy, when you are a teacher, is really, really, really important. And I think a topic that is largely misunderstood. You could basically be very, very safe if you just did nothing socially whatsoever with your students. And when I say social, I mean that's not only limited to speaking to the students or having a social life with them in the school. I mean social as it extends to things like pictures, stuff like that. In fact, pictures and video is specifically what I wanted to touch on because I would probably say that it's the place that most teachers are going to get burned when they're here. Just a cool little street, a little more dying light. That's where you're going to get burned, is with pictures. I got to cross the street, so I got to focus here. Dave Runnin', the new channel. No, just kidding. That's cheesy. So pictures. A lot of people would assume that you just flat out shouldn't take pictures with your students, shouldn't take pictures at all if you're at one of your schools. I'm going to break this down for you. So basically, the first place that this matters at, or the first level this matters at, is your relationship at the school. I would never, when I first arrived to a school, ever take any pictures with the students. I would first establish your reputation, and then possibly consider doing that. Next level to this, level 2, you have to consider the context that you're going to take pictures in. So rule number 1, I would never take a picture with one student. It would never just be you and a student. I wouldn't do that. That is a general rule I have. It would be, say you finished a chorus festival and all the kids, this is an example I have actually, personally. Say you finish a chorus festival with the kids, and afterwards everybody's eating lunch and you're outside of the chorus hall that you were all singing in, and they say, oh, so-and-so sensei, won't you have a picture with us? You say, oh yeah, sure, I'll have a picture with you, because when you think about it in that context, it's way less creepy. You're just like a dude or a gal standing in between a huge group of students. You're not hovering over an individual student, which is inherently creepy, and you should never do, in my opinion. Now, there might be somebody who comes along and says, oh, I've taken pictures with individual students, and that might further stress the point that it does boil down to individual experience. But I'm really hoping all of this won't be too loud. I came back to the temple. I would never do that. I think it's just asking for trouble if you're with individual students and you were ever to do that. And I know specific stories where people have taken pictures with individual students and it landed them in a world of trouble. Where I've had tons of photos that I've taken at my school with the teachers knowing well enough that I'm going to take the pictures with large groups of students, and it's no big deal at all. Nothing ever came of it. Now, here's the third level to this. You would never, ever, ever, and this one should kind of be a no-brainer. You would never, ever, ever post any of the images that you take of your students in any kind of social media at the time of your work. Now, if you finish your work and you finish your contract and you go back home, that's totally cool, because nothing can really come from that, can it? You've already left the job, no one can fire you, you're in the clear. But were you to do that while you still had your job, and someone were to find that photo posted onto social media, you're gonna get fired. Definitely. And this is kind of where it comes to a confessional on my part, because I'm gonna get out of breath, but I'm going to the top. What had I done? I'd done a video where I talked about the chorus festival that I went to. And you know, I thought, oh, it's a no-brainer. I would never post any video from that. But maybe as a thumbnail for the picture, or a thumbnail for the YouTube that I made, maybe I'll post the picture, the big group picture that I got with all the students. And in retrospect, it was the silliest, dumbest thing I could do. You just can't have any of this up on social media, but I thought I was like, you know, because the picture in itself was so innocent that I'm with a big group of them or whatever, that it would be no issue. But no, of course it is, of course it is. You're a teacher, there's students, that's at your workplace. You can never have that up. So, don't ever do that. Don't make my mistake, because I had a good enough relationship, which I'm very, very grateful for at my schools, where I had a teacher who saw the image and they said to me, "Oh, Dave, you got to take that down, man. I know somebody else who got fired for that." So I had this great teacher who cared about my, you know, my livelihood, and just gave me the heads up. I would say that's actually very rare. I think it's more often the case that you're going to have somebody who will call you out on it and get you fired for it. So I was lucky, you know, and I was stupid to do that. And then I even discovered, because of being here for a little bit, that in the first year, again, I think of like, if you filmed a student, that would be creepy, but if you had like a big school event, say they have these sports festivals and there was a tug of war, if you recorded that and put it on social media, it wouldn't be a stupid thing to do, because it's like, what, you can't even see the children's faces, and it's kind of a cool cultural event. Stupid, stupid, stupid. That's why this is, again, a confessional. And I realized today as I was going through my YouTube that I still had those on my channel. I had like 2 or 3 of them from a sports day, because I thought the cultural event was so cool. I was like, that's so worth sharing. And since it's not focusing on a student, it's more like a Japanese school in general, it's not a big deal. And the funny thing is, if you look around YouTube, this is where you could be confused, because you'll find other people who've done this in the past, and it's okay. Well, okay in the sense that they were never caught, but that would lead you astray. I'm telling you, if you come over here to keep yourself safe, to keep your job, I would never, ever, ever post any kind of videos from your school. And a lot of people I know would watch it and say that that's a no-brainer, but we do these things, if we do them innocently, we don't necessarily think of the repercussions. You didn't put it up there to be some kind of creep. You're like, oh, I really like this social event, so I want to share it with a few people. It's not even focusing on one student, it's focusing on this institution, this idea of the Japanese public school. You know, you'll probably find people who've done videos that have done a tour of their whole school while they're there, and this just kind of slips under the radar, you know, like maybe it's not found out, but many, many people have lost their jobs as a result of this. So I don't want you to lose your job, and I figured, I was like, man, that's something I really could talk about that I never really have before, and somebody brought up. So it was really important that I mention it, because you want to protect your job, and the best way to do that is just to educate yourself. So that's one thing. Then this, as you've seen in the title, this was, you know, privacy, your students' privacy and yours, and somebody was just like, how do you feel about, you know, your personal privacy for the fact that you're a teacher and you're on YouTube? And so I guess the teacher is one thing. More of it's just a question about privacy on YouTube in general. You know, What's that like? Do you have any? What kind of choice are you making to do that? Is it quite dangerous? And I suppose if I were absolutely honest, I think you'd be stupid if you didn't accept some reality that when you put yourself out there on YouTube, that it is somewhat dangerous. You are doing that. You know, oh, I want to do a little fancy quote. You know, what is it? Behold, I send you out as sheep amidst the wolves. Therefore you must be wise as serpents and gentle as doves. So that's just to say that I am aware of the dangers associated therein, but I would never outweigh the joy that I've had creating a kind of community with my channel, the experience of sharing my experience, how wonderful that's been for me, that it would outweigh the loss of privacy that I feel. And to speak as well about persona, everyone, as I speak to you now, it comes across as as though this is the magic of it, that you're speaking directly to someone. And I'd want somebody to feel that way too, but I'm speaking to a camera. No one's here right now. And inevitably, almost even in our interpersonal lives, we put out a persona, and that's even more compounded by the fact that I am behind a camera now doing this. And so I feel like, as far as my personal life goes, I probably maybe put it a little less out there than other J-vloggers do, and I don't judge them for it. I think that's kind of cool. But I would say even when people put their personal lives out there, it's still a facade. We're still hiding very much of who we are. Not as a bad thing, but just as a part of human nature, that's the way that we behave. And it's it just is. That's not moral or immoral. It's just a reality to be aware of. You know, if I meet you and we get to know each other and, you know, become friends, then that's something else entirely. But there's always that element there. And I've kind of made a point as well, or I've felt like I've made a point that, like I just said, I try and keep a little bit more of what's truly personal to me as personal. And I want to help people. I want to get people over here, give as much advice as I can to better your chances of getting a job. I want to show people cool places. But, you know, I almost feel like people are more interested when there is a bit more of a mystery, as opposed to me showing every single social occasion, every single person that I love, and putting it out there for the public to see. It becomes boring very quickly. The sexiest word in the English language is no. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on my YouTube privacy. Yeah, at times I'm kind of like, yeah, that is kind of crazy that, you know, you are putting yourself out there and you are sacrificing a bit of your personal privacy. But I consider it a worthy trade-off for the experiences I've had with the community, for the personal record that I have of my journey here, and that even if you do it, you're actually still, a lot of people, depending on the degree that they do it, you're still probably keeping a large part of your privacy private by the inherent behavior of humans to kind of obfuscate who they really are. Just wanted a chance to use a fancy word. So that was, I thought this would be a cool video, yeah, to talk about the practical side, is just talking about your students' privacy. And then there's that little bit about me and my thoughts on privacy, and if you're on YouTube at the end. I think it's worth it for the trade-off. I think so. I might change that opinion if I end up dead in a newspaper. Okay, so if you like videos like this, the light really is dying. If you like videos like this, please do subscribe. Please do comment. I'm curious to know what other people's opinions are on YouTube privacy. You know, because it's something that should be thought of. You shouldn't go into it blindly, you know, just like, oh, I've just, you know, now put myself out to public opinion for thousands, especially if you can't take a little bit of criticism, because you're, you know, what's the meme? It's like, oh, someone was mean to you on the internet. This is not a place for people who will crumble quickly to criticism. Yeah, so I'd just be curious, you know, if people talked about their own, you know, experiences of privacy and social media and stuff like that. So yeah, please do, man, the light is dying. Please do like, subscribe, and share, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Ciao for now. Peace.